right, it's 12:02. Heike, I'm going to get us on record. Friends, we're going to record this for those who couldn't attend today. If you don't want your face on, you can just turn your camera off, but I'm going to be sharing the screen in just a minute anyway, and all of the images will go away. So here we go.
Recording in progress.
So thank you all for being here this morning, for coming in and following the invitation. I met Cammie just in the end of May, beginning of June this year, and I found out about her from my business coach and Gary Barnes, and he just had it on his Instagram account. And I don't usually go on the media stuff, but I saw it there, and I
how this is risk-free, how there is no money out of pocket for the nonprofits to have this facilitated. We kind of think of this as, if I go to any one of your websites, there will be a button that says donate. And if I click on that donate button, I can use my credit card to give you a donation. So we are kind of like the real estate processing button, because you don't have to worry about taking title or having any out-of-pocket expense. So I'm going to share my screen and go through about a 20-minute presentation. We at the Real Agents of Change understand that there's different mindsets and different conversations. We have Michael and Sam, since you're kind enough to join us today, if you can help me put in the chat, therock.com/101. Because what we're doing today is specifically focused on our nonprofit friends' perspective. But we also have real estate perspective, donor perspective, and social responsibility perspective, so that you can see why this is so purposeful and profitable for everyone. So let me share the screen. Please put yourselves on mute if you're not already, and we'll rock and roll. Charitable Gifting of Real Estate 101 specifically for nonprofits. Now, this warning is to grab your attention and to really just plant our flag in how important this is. The fact is, proceeds from real estate will always be a better way to fund any nonprofit than traditional fundraisers, period. And I know that's a bold statement, but you'll see why in the next 20 minutes. The fact is, only 3% of what we have at our disposal is cash. 43% of our wealth as a nation is held in real estate. And this warning is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but it's also very serious. By the end of this 20 minutes and the Q&A that we have, you truly will know a new way, something that you add to your fundraising, not something that replaces it. We all like to do our car shows and our golf tournaments and our bake sales and things for fun and to be with our friends. But what if we could do those fundraisers because we want to and because we love getting together with people, not because we have to or our doors are going to close. So this warning is, this can be a blessing or a curse. And if you're really willing to take a stand with us, it's truly a blessing. So what would your nonprofit do with $550,000? Now, I want to sit in that question for just a moment and really have you ponder that. And I'd be honored if you'd even play with us in the chat. You know, put in the chat. There are people on here from all over the country. Feel free to put the name of your nonprofit. Put your website in there. Put what state you're in. Tell us, what is your mission? And what would your nonprofit do with $550,000? Now, this is a specific number, and actually the number is now 600,000. We've learned in the last couple of months, the number's gone up to 600,000. But the reason that we use that number is because that is the average donation of equity from a charitable gift of real estate. You're going to learn today that $9 billion a year is already donated to nonprofits through gifts of real estate, and the average donation is between $500,000 and $600,000. Now, the book that Heike just mentioned, Real Estate is Hot, Fundraising is Not. In this book, we go through everything that we're going to talk about today and also take it to the next level. How do you leverage real estate for real change? So that book is pretty important. At the end of the presentation, there'll be a link that you can go to. You can get the first chapter for free if you so choose. Now, Dr. Russell James is a big, big deal in the nonprofit world, in the financial world. He and his team have proven that nonprofits who accept non-cash assets 6 times their endowments over those who only take cash. And he has written the foreword for our book. And, you know, he says, the numbers are clear. Transformational philanthropy comes from major assets like real estate, but numbers aren't the problem. The problem is action. People can understand the idea and nod their head at the numbers, but then nothing, they don't act. The disease is inertia and fear. The cure, you're reading it right now. So that's from the book. And obviously he's talking about our systems and how this works as well. We love Dr. James. Go to LinkedIn and look up Dr. Russell James and send him a message. Tell him the Real Agents of Change sent you. He will send you 60 to 100 links to presentations he's done about this, books he's written, videos he has, all on this topic. Now, there are 1.5 million nonprofits in the US, and less than 0.5, literally less than 0.1% will take real estate. The fact is, if you have $500 cash or the deed to a property worth $500,000, 99.9% of nonprofits will take the cash and say no to the real estate, and they should. It is very complicated and convoluted. We are not suggesting that you start taking real estate. It's a very scary proposition. And the reason that they don't is there are 3 ways that a donor can help your nonprofit. through a gift of real estate. And these first two ways that I'm going to go over with you, you can guess and maybe you've heard of. Friends, it is the third way, the win-win-win way that you're here to learn about today. So the first way that a person who owns property can help you and your nonprofit is they can just go sell it, just good old-fashioned, put a sign in the yard, sell it, pay their tax consequences, and give you the proceeds. But this is the worst way. It is the worst way for the nonprofit because Uncle Sam is getting a big chunk, whether it's capital gains tax, whether it's them having to pay back recapture, depreciation. There's a lot of reasons Uncle Sam gets a big chunk. So your nonprofit gets the least amount of money. The donor gets the least amount of benefits because they have to pay all those taxes. And ultimately, it is just the old-fashioned grandpa's way of helping a nonprofit with real estate. There was a time when this was the only way to do it, but it is the worst way. Please do not suggest this to people because hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars is going to the government instead of to your mission if it is the first way. Now, the second way, you probably could assume as well, why doesn't the donor just donate it directly to the Boys and Girls Club, to the church, to the veteran group, to the foundation? You know, some community foundations do take real estate if it is mortgage free, if it's local, if it's easy. It's a small box that real estate has to fit into. Ultimately, the reason that this is the hardest way is because if the nonprofit that the donor is giving the property to takes that property, they have to pay off mortgages. They have to give the cash to the donor if they want cash. So for example, let's say there's a nonprofit in Colorado and the donor lives in Texas and they say, you know what, I've got a condo, I've got a second home in Florida. It's $1 million appraised condo, and I want to donate it to this nonprofit in Colorado, but it's got a $200,000 mortgage. And I love my Colorado nonprofit, but I don't love them that much. I'd like to get $200,000 out of the property so I can put little Billy in college. Well, in this scenario, friends, there's $400,000 that needs to come from somewhere to pay off the mortgage and give the donor some cash. Now there's $1 million asset, so there's over $500,000 in equity for that nonprofit, but somebody has to pay that stuff off. Somebody has to take on the responsibility of the taxes and the insurance, and God forbid a hurricane comes through and wipes that condo out. The moral of the story is 99.9% of nonprofits just flat out won't do it. Some of them have it written in their bylaws that they don't take real estate. Some of them will take it, but on a very limited basis. That's why this is the hardest way, because even for the nonprofits that do take real estate, unless they have a dedicated, full-time, paid staff that does this, Salvation Army is one that has a full-time staff that does this type of thing. But they are less than a half of a percent. This is the hardest way for everybody involved. And those reasons are pretty clear. The nonprofits don't have expertise in real estate. And you know what? There's actually someone on this screen with us today. Connie Myers has a nonprofit, and yours truly sits on the board for her nonprofit. So even when there are experts on the board, the fact is there's a lot of capital. Even if the property is free and clear, even then, somebody has to pay the landscaper, has to plow the driveway, has to take title and responsibility, and we're just not going to do it. Real estate diverts your attention away from your mission. We call it mission drift. We don't want you to drift off mission. We want you to stop human trafficking. We want you to do that which you are created to do, not try to take on real estate. Some nonprofits have heard of bad experiences. And friends, sometimes I think that's one of the reasons people don't even come to learn about this, because they have a preconceived notion. Oh, I used to work with a nonprofit who took real estate. It's so complicated. I will never do that again. This is not the same thing. There is no risk. There is no one taking title at your nonprofit. So the bad experiences that you may have heard of, I'm sorry to hear that people had those experiences, but that's not what we're doing here. Now, once again, some will accept it on a limited basis. And if your nonprofit will accept real estate, if it's local, if it's mortgage free, if it's easy, then God bless. Please keep doing that. What we are suggesting is, what if you find a donor who has that condo in Florida and you need $400,000 to even have the title taken, right? Let's open and expand our mind to not just be local in our own community. And if you have those gift restrictive policies, that's okay. Leave them there. This has nothing to do with you taking title to real estate. Overall, the bottom line is 99.9% are missing out on this funding, not just because it's too risky, but the real reason is because they don't know about what we're getting ready to share with you right now. So the third way, we are the real agents of change. We were created 3 years ago when I sat in on a presentation and I learned about charitable gifting of real estate. And I learned that we need this entity, this third party, this credible expert, this specialized nonprofit, as we call them, in the middle. They take title to the property. There is no risk on your behalf. There is a contract between them and the donor that states right up front, your nonprofit gets the money. So the way that we do it, it is risk-free. There is no out-of-pocket expense to handle these transactions for you. There is capital available to enhance the value of the property. So let's say that it's a property that needs a $100,000 roof. Let's say it's a property across the country from you and it needs a $50,000 repaving of the parking lot so that we can sell this strip mall. You don't have to do any of that stuff. This specialized nonprofit does this for you. Bargain sales are available. Please let me allow me to explain what this means. If the donor donates the deed and the keys, complete donation, they don't want 1 penny in exchange. We just need a tax deduction. Friends, this time of year, September 2022, at the time of this recording, right now, there are people Googling how to donate real estate because they need a tax write-off. Now, if that real estate, just like the example we've given, has a burden, a liability, a mortgage, and the donor wants cash, that's called a bargain sale. So mortgages can be paid off, cash can go to the donor. So in other words, the donor doesn't have to donate the full value of the property. See, when we understand that the donors on your donor list, the people who already love you and support you, when they find out that that $1 million condo they have in Florida, that they don't have to donate the whole thing, they could just give you 200,000 of it. They like that. They like knowing that they can tailor their gift. Donor receives the full array of tax benefits immediately. I'm going to share a story with you about a donor last year, December 15th, needed a tax deduction by the end of December 2021, and they got it immediately. Not months and months of board meetings, but immediately. That's why this is so easy for everyone. So nonprofit world receives the maximum donation, donor receives the maximum tax benefit. 100% of the 1.5 million nonprofits are eligible for this program because even those that do take real estate, I mentioned the Salvation Army earlier. If my friends that are on here that are part of our group can put in the chat, therock.com/donations, you can go there and you can see 10 case studies, raw land, residential, commercial. I'm interviewing the specialized nonprofit and we're talking about who donated it, why they donated it, what nonprofit benefited, how much money went to the nonprofit world. One of those stories is about the Salvation Army and how even though they take about 2,000 donations a year themselves, there are some that even they can't handle. So when we say 100% of the 1.5 million nonprofits are eligible, we mean even the ones who do take real estate can't always handle their own deals, but our team can. This is the win-win-win way for everyone. Our team of experts take title and financial responsibility. Don't worry, there's a contract, not between you and us, but between the donor and this specialized nonprofit that outlines exactly who's getting the money, which would include you. There is no risk to you. Not only do you not take title, you don't even need to know where the property is. In other words, if you don't even know the address or what state it's in, that's how far removed you are from the actual transaction. Now, we wouldn't suggest that you just randomly don't know. We're saying that that's how far removed you are from any liability. There is no out-of-pocket expense. The specialized nonprofit is a nonprofit. They are the nonprofit for all nonprofits. And they don't, even though some that I have interviewed and talked to, there's a handful out there that do this type of a thing. Some of them take a fee up front. This one, the ones that we work with do not. And so at the end of the transaction, after the realtor's been paid and after the mortgage that was paid off is all recouped, the specialized nonprofit keeps on average 5.9% of the proceeds to keep their doors open. So instead of the donor paying 28-30% in capital gains tax to the government, the specialized nonprofit keeps 5.9% on average to handle the transaction. And there is no need to change your gift acceptance policies. This isn't something that requires board approval. I mean, of course, we're going to talk to the board and we're going to let everybody know when we're all on the same page. Think about just like when it was time to start accepting credit cards, there was 1,000 credit card processing systems. And the board needed to come together and look at all the applications and how do we want to accept credit cards. But after you picked the company that processes your credit cards, you never thought about it again. When somebody swipes a card on your website, you just get the money into your account. That's the way processing a credit card works. It's the same thing here. Once we've talked to the board, once everybody shakes hands and understands the process, there's nothing else to do but let the donors know that you can benefit from real estate. And this really gives any and all, from the largest to the smallest nonprofits, the ability to benefit from 500 to 600,000 on average from one donation. Here's what it looks like. Property donor has the property. Let's stick with our story of the condo in Florida. They come to the table, they say, you know what? We got this condo, you pay off the mortgage, you give us $200,000, you can take this $1 million condo and sell it and keep the proceeds. So it is donated to the specialized nonprofit. It's a nonprofit because that's what gives the donor the tax incentive that they are wanting. They take title and responsibility. Now they list the property with a real estate agent in that town, wherever the property is, at a full commission. And you want to know that because you want to know that the real estate agents, the real estate community has an incentive to help you find donations of hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars because they're going to get paid to help you. unlike a fundraiser who gets paid $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, $200,000 a year as a salary, whether they bring in funding or not. No, this realtor doesn't get paid. The real agents of change don't get paid unless you're getting funded. That's why this is such a win-win-win. So, specialized nonprofit listed with a realtor. When it sells, the donor has indicated you are receiving 80%, 50%, 100%, whatever that is, and that's what you get. So notice that it says receives 90 to 98% of the proceeds, because that specialized nonprofit keeps between 2 and 10%, 5.9% on average. We've got plenty of documentation. Just stay with me and we'll get you all what you need. Now, other nonprofits are doing it. $9 billion a year already since 1917. Average donation, that's an average of 18,000 donations a year. So we keep saying there's 99.9% of nonprofits won't take it. Well, let's just look at some of the nonprofits that do take real estate. Every couple of months, I'll Google charitable gifting of real estate, donating real estate, how to donate real estate. And I want to see how many more are starting to advertise it. Now, the reason I'm sharing these with you is because your donors on your donor list are on other people's donor list. Your people at your church also love to support the American Cancer Society. And the people in your veterans group also love animals and they support the Animal Rescue League, etc. So your donors are out living their life. And for those that are wanting a tax deduction right now this year, because they don't know of you as someone who takes real estate, they're Googling how to donate real estate. So I use Cars for Kids as an example because most of us have heard of them. Cars for Kids takes real estate now too. And if the donor just wants a tax deduction, any one of these organizations will do. Here's the trick. Here's the problem. If your donor goes and finds these nonprofits, they're going to get their tax deduction, but these are the nonprofits that are going to get funded, not yours. Cars for Kids is not going to turn around and give you a check for 50% of the sale of that property. So the reason that we show this is to share with you, it is happening all around us, but we need to let your donors know that you can benefit from real estate so that you can get the proceeds and you don't have to take title or risk. So your donors, they don't know that you can benefit from this. They are on other donor lists. They're looking for tax deductions. And even more importantly, friends, 80% of the people who donate real estate, 80% are eager to leave legacy. They want to see your horse rescue succeed. They want to see you providing trauma and crisis care for the people who need it. They are people who are 60, 65, 70 years old. They're simplifying their estates. They have a second home in the Poconos and you don't know about it. But when they are ready to donate real estate, if they don't know that you can benefit, you won't. Somebody else will. They are planning their planned giving. So donations of real estate, come in for your nonprofit and we will do the rest. This real estate can come from anywhere in the country, in some cases anywhere in the world. If the owner of the property, they have a condo in Paris, but they're a US-based taxpayer, then even that could be a donation for your nonprofit. It can be any size. So the average equity from a piece of real estate is $500,000 to $600,000, but it could be a $200,000 house that you get $50,000 from, and it could be a $5 million or a $10 million property. And I'm going to show you a couple of those in just a minute. Any type Okay, so when we go to therock.com/donations, we will see raw land, residential, and commercial. So this can create funding for you right now. There are people right now, especially this time of year, who are hot and heavy to get a tax deduction. There are some people who need to see this a little bit longer. They need to go to a couple of websites. They need to think it through, and it might be next year. And then there are other people that when they hear about this, they will put it in their planned giving for the next 3, 5, 10 years. But if someone else tells them first, then the planned giving is going to happen for that church or that veteran group. Now, this is the most recent one I want to share with you. This happened just as you can see, middle of July, 2022. $15 million country club golf course donated to this university. That's the first one I want to share. This one, January 2021, Martin Luther King Center in Rhode Island had this property, 1.7 million. And I love showing this one. This is right now, May 2022 of this year. Friends, this is not about property that people can't get rid of, contaminated, Route 66 gas station that nobody's pulled into in the last 28 years. That's not what this is about. This is about real estate of any kind, of any size, from anywhere, because people love you. They love you. So instead of just asking for the 3% that they have in cash, let's simply educate and inform them, by the way, we can benefit from real estate. This couple donated $129 million of real estate last year. So it's happening. It's happening all around us. Now, this slide and the next slide are logos of nonprofits who have benefited from the way that we do it. In other words, these people, these organizations, the property that we're talking about, they never took title. They never came out of pocket any money. In a lot of cases, they didn't even know that they were getting a big check until it came. That's how far removed they were from it. But please notice the one at the top, Fidelity Charitables. So if you think about nonprofits, if you think about a big pyramid, a big pile, 1.5 million nonprofits, the very top is the largest that takes in the most money, and it goes on down to just the bottom where, 501c3 just got their designation today. The one right at the top, like a star on the Christmas tree, like a cherry on top of the pie, is Fidelity Charitables. They brought in $13 billion last year. They leverage the same real estate team that we do. Even they don't handle their own real estate. And when you go to therock.com/donations, 4 or 5 of those involve Fidelity Charitable. Because in the event that they do try to do their own transaction, when they mess it up, they call in our team. You'll see what I mean when you look at that link. Now, friends, universities, public radio, churches, soup kitchens, you name it, they are benefiting from real estate. And this is happening. This $9 billion a year is happening when nonprofits aren't even asking. They're not even doing a big campaign. This is happening from financial advisors who know that this is a great way to be philanthropic. They know that it's a great tax deduction, and they are suggesting it to their clients, or the client themselves, the property owner themselves, thinking it through. I got 14 properties. I'm 70 years old. Need to start liquidating. How can I do this? I want to help the veterans. That's how this has been happening up until now. So what's next for you? Now that you're understanding how this works, what do you do with this information? Well, first we want to say don't waste time. This has been happening for 100 years. We didn't invent it. We just stumbled upon it 3 years ago and saw it in such a way that we are taking action on it like no one has ever before. 3 years ago, when I learned about this with my real estate background, I thought, there are 2 million realtors. Let's certify 1% of real estate professionals in this country to bring it back to the nonprofits that they love. And over the last 2 years, we simply have learned, okay, 65% of these transactions come from financial advisors. Let's talk to them. Nonprofits themselves can talk to their donors themselves. So in other words, it's been happening for 100 years, but it's just in the last 3 years that we've started to promote this. So don't waste time. There will be other nonprofits in your community that start to present this to their donors. And it would be such a shame 6 months or a year from now for you to finally tell your donors, hey, by the way, we can benefit from real estate. And John and Mary say, oh, well, I wish I knew that 6 months ago because I already gave to another nonprofit. Number 2, do your research. Here's another link, therock.com/documents. If my friends can put that in the chat too, it's easy to click on. This gives you a step-by-step way of looking at how does this happen. We talk about the 3 ways that donors can donate real estate. We talk about all the steps for you right here in this documents page. We want you to do your due diligence. We beg you, call us, ask us questions. Don't let not understanding how this works keep you from getting funded. Like I said, communicate. This is my information. Please feel free to write it down. We'll give it to you at the end as well. If my friends can put that in the chat, or I'll put it in at the end. Alan Biles is the VP of our company. He's also my fiance. We're happy to answer any questions of what to do next. Number 4, just take the funding. It seriously is that easy from the perspective of you don't take title. Just let your donors know. That's all you have to do. Let them know. And number 5, do what you were created to do. Just keep helping the animals and the kids and the elderly and the disabled. Just keep helping them. Don't try to figure this out on your own. I was just gifted about 2 weeks ago. One of our Real Agents of Change stumbled upon a book that was written in 2006 about donating real estate. And that whole book is explaining to you how to do the second way, how to accept real estate yourself. Man, is that scary. Boy, is that risky. Just do what you were meant to do and let us handle the transactions for you. There's one other story that I want to share with you. I thought I had the slide up here. I need to add it, but I'll just tell you the story. Berkeley Humane Society, California, Berkeley. December last year, a guy calls our specialized nonprofits, December 15th. He says, hey, I need a tax deduction by the end of the year. Got 15 days left in the year. I've got 12 vacant lots. Can you give me a tax deduction? So our specialized nonprofit knows what they're doing. They've each been in commercial real estate, philanthropy, sitting on boards, developing real estate for 40 years apiece. They were able to take title to that real estate before the end of the year, giving that donor the tax incentive that he wanted. Now they put the property on the market, and they knew that they were going to get about $400,000 to give to Berkeley Humane Society. So they call Berkeley Humane Society and they say, hey, just want you to know, you're getting ready to get a cash infusion of approximately $400,000. We like to give nonprofits a heads up if it's possible, because, usually you don't have that in your budget. You don't know what to do with that. They were blown away. They said, what? We're getting how much from what? The Berkeley Humane Society, reached out to their donors and they said, we don't have a clue how this works, But what we know is real estate was donated and we're getting 400,000. And we were told that if we let you guys know, some of you might want tax incentives. Some of you might want to leave a legacy with us. So a woman raised her hand out of their donor list. I've got a 55 and older community residence. My mother left it to me years ago. I am never going to live there. It's in Carmel, California. The woman had plenty of money. She had plenty of resources. She didn't need the property or want it, and she did need a tax deduction. 3 weeks ago, that property closed, and the equity to the Berkeley Humane Society was $646,000 and some change from the second property. Here's the moral of the story. One nonprofit, 2 donations, 6 months, April to August, $1,052,000 and some change, because all they did was tell their donors that they could benefit from real estate. So Heike mentioned earlier, she sat in on the master class. It's free. It's free. Why wouldn't you want to sit in on it? So therock.com/masterclass. We do them on the 1st and the 3rd Tuesday of the month. The next one is September 20th. And ooh boy, October 4th. The next one, October 4th, we're doing it at Goodwill. There's a beautiful, big Goodwill here in the Sarasota, Florida marketplace. They service 4 counties. They have 750 employees. That's how big they are. They are such a well-oiled machine that Goodwill from all over the country go there to learn how to run a Goodwill the right way. We're doing the master class there. They want us to share this with the 200 plus nonprofits that they partner with, veteran groups, homeless shelters, soup kitchens, domestic violence, animal shelters. They're inviting them, friends, to learn how this works. therock.com/FAQS. Please write these down or screenshot it when I'm done, or however you want to do it. Top 13 questions that you might be thinking. And I want to answer all of them at the end. Just let me know. But when you go here, you will see me and the specialized nonprofit talking about these questions. There's also a 30-minute interview where I talk with the specialized nonprofit about who they are and why they do what they do. We talk about the real agents of change and why we've partnered. There's an interview there with Dr. Russell James, and there's also the report that proves beyond a shadow of doubt that the nonprofits who accept non-cash assets can 6 times their endowments. This is the donations link that I have mentioned a few times. Property valuation. We send the donor there. So imagine you've got your donate button on your website. They can donate cash because you have a credit card processing company. Your board chose a credit card processing company, and now you can take donations that way. You might have cryptocurrency. Donate cryptocurrency. You might have a way to accept cars. Imagine if you have a button, donate real estate, and something like this, the property evaluation form comes up and the person fills it out, and then we take it from there. Chapter 1, please feel free to get the first chapter of my book for free. We want you to learn how this works. And if you love this book like others are loving it, you can get them at 50% off and hand them out to financial advisors. You can hand them out to real estate professionals, because this book isn't just about charitable real estate. It's about how to bring it into the community, how the financial companies and the dog walkers and the attorneys and the realtors and the mortgage companies and the coffee shops, the print shops, the dojos, just any and all businesses can actually make money making a difference by just telling people you can accept real estate. It is the key. In our Facebook group, the Real Agents of Change free group, feel free to go in. There's a ton of videos in there as well. And I'm going to share all of these links with Heike to send out to those of you who were invited by her. This is her event. And then on LinkedIn, we've got some great videos there too. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and I would just love to answer any questions that any of you have. I'd love to hear, what are you learning? What are you thinking about? Would you like to come to the master class? How can I help you?
Thank you very much for the information. This is a really innovative program. And I know you've said it's something like this has been around for a long time, but the way that you're doing it is, and your presentation was excellent. So thank you for that. I have friends who are realtors and a friend who's a financial consultant, and I would really like to share this with them. So I can be in touch, later. And as far as making it easy for nonprofits, I'm newly and tangentially involved with the one that I'm working with. And it just seems like a slam dunk for them. And it sounds like it's a really easy process once, they get the basic questions out of the way and learn how to communicate with their donors and that kind of thing. So from someone who's a little bit on the outside of the nonprofit world, I completely received the message. And
tax deduction before the end of the year, we can help. You know, just tell people, just put it on your website, just put it out in social media, have us. So if you go to therock.com/101, you'll see that we also have a simple presentation for donors. We can do a presentation like this for your donors. I want to respect everyone's time. It's 12:53. I love that you're all hanging on, but if you're waiting for somebody else to ask your question, don't do that. They need to hear you ask it. All right. Well, if you think of any questions, we also do a Q&A on Wednesdays. So when you go to therock.com/101, you'll see that in there, not only can you watch the 4 different 20-minute presentations, you can also register to come to the Q&A on Wednesdays at noon, either myself or my fiance, Alan. Sometimes Sam Silver does it. Other people in the group that have been with us for a long time can answer questions. Please feel free to put in the chat your phone number, your email. What we're finding is there's such synergy. The real agents of change are attracting. I meet people almost every week that have nonprofits that are helping kids that are aging out of foster care. I meet people all the time that are starting nonprofits to stop human trafficking, to deal with crisis and trauma management, veteran groups, animal groups. Friends, there are people here for you to brainstorm with and mastermind with. And I just want to encourage you to do that. Join the group, the Real Agents of Change Facebook group, and you can meet some more people. There's about 1,000 in that group at this point. And if there's no questions, I'm going to give you a last call. I'm going to send this recording to you, Heike. Heike, do you have any questions, or is there anything that I didn't say that you think your people should hear?
Yeah, the only thing that popped up was timeshares don't count.
Timeshares don't count, and the only other 2 qualifications for real estate, it's got to have equity. Because when you know, any question that I ever get, really, if you think it out a couple of steps like a chess game, you can kind of get your own answer. Well, what about a property that's behind on the mortgage? What about a property that's in probate? It's got to have equity. If there's no equity, there is no donation. So got to have equity, and it's got to be marketable. Because when you think about it, the specialized nonprofit, when your donor fills out that form, property evaluation form, when we see that it's, you know, got equity and they've got philanthropic intent and all that fun stuff, we put them with a specialized nonprofit. Specialized nonprofit says, okay, your condo appraises at $1 million. You say you've got a $200,000 mortgage. Based on all the things that you're telling us, here's 2 net sheets. This net sheet would show you what it would look like if you did a traditional sale and paid the taxes and all those things versus a bargain sale, what we're talking about right now. And the donor themselves make their own decision. Yeah, that makes sense for me. Sure, I'd love to do it. When they do, the specialized nonprofit's taking title. They're paying off that mortgage. They're coming out of pocket $400,000 to take title to $1 million condo. They're taking on all risk and liability. So if you think it through a little bit, they're not going to take title to something that is not marketable, that they can't sell. If it's been on the market for 10 years and it's never sold, so you think, maybe that's a good donation. Well, no, if it's not going to sell, it's not going to sell. Now, having said that, if it was on the market for a long time at $5 million, and it wouldn't sell, and now the specialized nonprofit owns it and they put it on the market for 4.5 million and it does sell, well, now it's become marketable because now there's a different price point. But the point is, it cannot be landlocked, 1,000 acres up on a mountain with no road to it. Nobody's ever going to buy it. That's not what this is about. You saw the beautiful properties. You saw the philanthropic people who are donating because it's the right thing to do. They are in your donor list right now. Let me tell you one more story and I'm going to let you go. Linda. So National Jewish Health, huge nonprofit, 300,000 donors. They bring in hundreds of millions of dollars a year. One of their donors, Linda Grable, heard one of our team speak a couple years ago about donations of real estate. Now, Linda had been giving them $25 a year for 32 years. 32 years, $25 a year. So out of that 300,000 person list, donors, you never would have picked Linda off that list and thought, boy, she's got real estate to give. But guess what? She had a second home. It was left to her by her family. It's a cabin in the Poconos. And it was only a $79,000 cabin. It wasn't a big, monstrous gift. For her, it was. But this cabin needed work. The plumbing and electricity were outdated. She had to drive 6 hours to get there. She had to stay in a hotel. Even if she went to visit it, she just didn't want the headache. So she donated that cabin. And at the end of the day, $39,000 was the proceeds after commissions and money that fixed it up, etc. That $39,000 was not the biggest gift that nonprofit had ever received. They'd received millions before. But for Linda, it was her legacy. Friends, you know Linda. You have Linda. She is on your donor list. And if you don't tell her that she can donate real estate, another nonprofit will, and she'll leave her legacy, but it won't be to you. They're out there. Okay, you've got my number, and I really encourage any of you to come to the master class first and third Tuesday of the month. See you there. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Cammie.
Recording stopped.